The United States has shot down yet another unidentified object on Sunday, making it the fourth taken down over North America in less than 2 weeks. The latest was shot down just over Lake Huron in Michigan. While US officials have been weirdly tight-lipped in describing what the unidentified objects were, even going so far as to referring to them as high-altitude objects, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has confirmed in a cable news interview that it is in fact, or they were in fact, balloons. Let's watch.
The military and the intelligence are focused like a laser on first gathering and accumulating the information, then coming up with a comprehensive analysis of what went on before, what's going on now, and what could go on in the future. You can be sure that if any American interests or people are at risk, they'll take appropriate action. Until they get that comprehensive analysis, however, we have to look at each balloon individually.
Were these balloons Friday and Saturday night?
They believe they were, yes, but much smaller than the first one. Both of those, one over Canada, one over Alaska, were at 40,000 feet. Immediately, it was determined that that's a danger to commercial aircraft, which also fly at 40,000 feet. And so, the second one, in cooperation with the Canadians, the first one with the Americans, took it down.
So they took it down again, 3 over the weekend, beginning on Friday, and then of course, prior to that, there was the much larger Chinese surveillance balloon, alleged Chinese surveillance balloon that was shot down right off the coast of South Carolina. A national security spokesperson said the objects over Canada and Alaska did not closely resemble and were much smaller than the suspected Chinese spy balloon that was shot down on February 4th. Cenk.
Okay, first of all, let's be honest about this. Obviously, aliens. Because you know what aliens said? Balloons. Okay, if that's the best technology aliens have, ladies and gentlemen, we got them. New right-wing conspiracy theory, obviously, right away. They were in fact aliens, illegal aliens sent by the Communist Chinese Party. Okay, look guys, they have not yet recovered the 3 that they shot down over the weekend, at least the 2 in Alaska and in Canada for sure. And so Admiral Kirby just did a press conference very recently, right before we went live, and representing the Pentagon, the US government, et cetera. He said, look, they're not aliens, okay? They're not, as far as we know. But what are they? We haven't gotten them yet, right? So that's fair. A lot of this got sparked by a Pentagon spokesperson over the weekend saying, I'm not ruling anything out.
Okay, they're not aliens. Okay, let's just move on. Okay, we don't know what they are. We don't know who sent them. We don't know if there's like nefarious motives behind it. We just shoot them down and that's it. That's what's happening. That's all we know. Okay, the speculation is nonsense. It's a giant waste of time. I'm not even entertaining it.
Okay, they're not being entertained. We're moving forward.
Yeah.
I got one other funny part of it. Representative Slotnick from Michigan, she was informed before these things were shot down, and so was another Democratic congressman from Michigan, and they both were praising the courage of our fighter pilots for shooting it down. I was like, they're unmanned. I'm not sure it takes a ton of courage to shoot down a balloon. But anyways, are they spying? That's the actual question. Likely, but we don't know.
Yeah, of course they are. Of course they are. Every country that has the capability to spy on us spies on us, and we spy on other countries.
No.
That's what happens.
I'm told by the mainstream press.
And we spend hundreds of billions of dollars every single year. We increase the military budget every single goddamn year. And wouldn't you know it? This situation is being exploited for calls for what? More military funding. In fact, why don't we go to this next video featuring House Intelligence Committee Chairman Mike Turner. Get a load of what he has to say about this.
Are you glad that they shot down these 2 objects? Because obviously you and other Republicans were critical for that the Biden team took as long as they did to shoot down the object that was clearly a Chinese spy balloon.
Sure, as I was saying, I would prefer them to be trigger happy than to be permissive. But we're going to have to see whether or not this is just the administration trying to change headlines. But what I think this shows, which is probably more important to our policy discussion here, is that we really have to declare that we're going to defend our airspace, and then we need to invest. What's become clear in the public discussion is that we don't really have adequate radar systems. We certainly don't have an integrated missile defense system. We're going to have to begin to look at the United States airspace as one that we need to defend and that we need to have appropriate sensors to do so. This shows some of the problems and gaps that we have. We need to fill those as soon as possible because we certainly now ascertain there is a threat.
We don't have an adequate missile defense system? That's what he just said. He said we don't have an adequate missile defense system. That's weird. Is the military somehow underfunded? Do we not have the resources to have an adequate missile defense system? I don't know. Why don't we look at the numbers? Let's start with graphic 5 here. In fiscal year 2023, the US government, total US government spending for defense, including military defense, veterans affairs, and foreign policy, is budgeted to be about 1,168.4 billion. Now, military spending, just military spending alone, is budgeted at $808.6 billion, okay? Let's go to the next graphic, give you a better idea of just how much military funding has increased each consecutive year. 2021, it was $753.9 billion. The amount appropriated for 2024, $836.5 billion. In fact, the last time they voted for the military budget, they actually offered even more than what the Biden administration was asking for. So where's the money going? How do we not have an adequate missile defense system? I mean, it is amazing how much money gets funneled from the bottom to the top in this country. In the case of military spending, from the hard-earned taxpayer money of fellow citizens being redistributed all the way to private defense contractor executives who do what with it? What do they do with it? If we don't have an adequate missile defense system, what the hell does the money go toward? That's what I want to know. That's the only thing that matters in this story. Everything else is nonsense. Everything.
Yeah. So let me just double down on what Anna's saying. So he says we don't have an adequate missile defense system. Then what are we spending the other $1.1 trillion on? Because this is supposed to be a Department of Defense. These are supposed to be defense systems. I've seen us start many wars, totally useless wars that got our kids killed and our trillions of dollars misspent, right? But we don't have a missile defense system that can spot a balloon. And by the way, the first balloon was 2,000 feet long, apparently, and the size of 3 buses. We don't have a missile defense system for that. What the hell did we spend? Obviously, you took the 1.1 trillion and you stuffed it into your pockets. So why don't you just be honest about that? And it's interesting that Jake Tapper, whenever we talk about Medicare for all, something that would give universal health care that every other developed nation has, he's like, oh, you're gonna pay for that? All of a sudden, this guy comes out here, is like 1.1 trillion is not enough. We need new missile defense systems that my donors want. And Tapper didn't ask him how he's gonna pay for that. What a shock. By the way, he threw in there, it's certainly a Chinese spy balloon. It's very likely a Chinese spy balloon, but you don't actually know that. But just to like demagogue and fearmonger and create a bigger defense budget, Tapper's sure, he's absolutely sure, we all gotta pile in the money here. And of course, this lunatic Republican congressman, they all are, it says things like, yeah, they're trying to distract with these things. What do you mean? Are you saying that the Biden administration sent the balloons and then shot them down? What do you mean they're trying to distract? But Tapper, does he call him out on that? Of course not, of course not. The beloved Republicans must be respected, even when they say crazy things that make no sense at all. And of course he added in, I'd rather have them be trigger happy. Let's shoot first, spend pork barrel money on crony capitalism first, okay, and then figure out things later.
It's the American way. It's what we do best.
Both sides are gonna use this, Democrats and Republicans. They'll fight over nonsense about who balloons, which balloons, aliens, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, when the voting happens, both sides are gonna agree 100% on spending more on corrupt defense contractors that apparently can't even protect us from goddamn balloons.
That's right.
Here at TYT, we work to cut through all the establishment media's biases and bring you the news from a factual and progressive viewpoint. Now allow me to introduce you to Ground News, a new tool that you can use to stay informed on what's really going on around the world. Ground News doesn't just bring you the information, it also provides you with an easy to use rating system that measures each article's political leanings, factuality, and gives you complete transparency on who owns the news that you're reading. Like today, I was on their site and I saw an article about some improvements in the ozone layer. And I was a little skeptical because good news about the climate is pretty rare these days. But with over 100 sources originating from an even spread of news organizations, I was confident that what I was reading was true. So score one for Earth. So get the whole picture and break through the corporate media agenda by subscribing to Ground News today.